Hello, welcome once driven, forever smitten. The Cavalier, we last left it was a bit poorly. We've got it down the garage now. We've got our full exhaust system there and all the headset stuff ready to replace the head gasket. So first things first, I'm going to strip the exhaust manifold off it because that needs to come off anyway, and to get a look at the exhaust. I'd cut a flexi in and put it at the front there, so I'll see the manifold might be a bit short if I take that off, and we might use a different one. Yeah, if I cut the manifold, well, I could take the manifold back to here and sleeve it and run another bit of pipe further along if I retain this manifold. That could work. And I'm going to get a new flexi section in there, so that's fine. How does that go? It goes along there, then it's got a little kick in it, but our flexi could take that out. We'll get rid of this little bend here, which we don't need, and we'll just go straight down. This will be the first silencer. Go down, connection, second silencer, and then around we go, up and over. Shouldn't be too complicated. Just about got the back box off it. Spray a WD-40, flood the end of. Hey! One back box. Alright. All I need to do here is just with one rubber anyway. There we go. System off. Alright, first thing I'm going to strip off now is the manifold. It was last off in 2019. Our bolts are nice and rusty, so in the very first one I've already got an Irwin on it. Great. I don't need to heat these up because my induction heater has been out of the game for ages, so we'll just soak the threads on them in the hope it makes them come out a little bit easier. Hopefully I don't snap any off in the head. Shouldn't do. Right, first one with an Irwin on it. Nope. Come on, bite. Oh, that's got it. Oh, that's going tight. Is it? Good. This first one is winding out okay. Did get pretty tight at one point. Yeah dear, well we've got a snap one, but it doesn't matter, it's still sticking out. We'll be able to get onto that. There's still plenty of thread on it. Hey me though. I'm going to get a new set of nuts and studs for this. These are not nice. Size of you, 12.5. I'll disconnect our lambda sensor for up in the top corner here and feed it down and out to the bottom. Right, that's the last bolt out the manifold. Just need to go and there we go. One manifold. Right. I'm going to go around it now and start stripping out all that various bits and pieces associated with the engine. That's the airbox and pipe work off it there. I've taken the water pipes out of it. Put the SFI box off it. Coil pack, take that off the side of it. Just be quite methodical. SFI box ready to lift off. Yeah, I think that snapped off in there, it did. Got the correct bolts in it anyway. Not to worry, I should have that removed. Cruise control cable. I don't know if you'd ever have noticed or not, but this little blank rectangular piece on your XE or your let throttle body is what's used for cruise control, which clips onto this piece of the throttle body here and pulls on it like that. That's what that's for. But the next car I'm fitting cruise control into will be an 8 valve, so it's a slightly different idea. But you know, no XE ever came with cruise control on it, but they, or let for that matter, from the factory. But they did think about it, so there you go. And we've got a wee selection of wiring plugs to disconnect as we go around. So we've got the one for the cam sensor thing, whatever's in there. Our coil pack. And we'll also have our 12 volt pickup there as well. That's a little feed for the loom to power it up. If you don't have that, then it won't start. And then as we work our way around, we will get up towards the main wiring plug, which is just down there, which you can't see at the moment. I'm just going to put the battery out of this. This is a huge USA battery. It's well oversized for the Cavalier, but it's been going flat the last couple of times I've got it, so I think it might be bad. I'll have to go and get it tested. These have got a good long warranty on them though, so that's good. Come. Get them out right. And that's your main multi-plug there, which connects to the car side, which just twists apart. There we go. That's that off of there, and you've got a plug for your reverse light switch there. I think that's all there is on this one. I don't think there's anything else. Right, I've split the multi-plug for access there just to get in here. You don't need to necessarily need to remove that, but under here is our ignition module. Now with that out the road, that's our whole section of loom removed there, with our wiring plugs on the end of it. So the next thing to move round and onto is pop the injectors off, which I might do. It might make life easier if I remove the cam cover first, which I have to do anyway. So. Off we come. One cam cover. Ooh. All the bolts still in it. Sit there and out. There we go, got the injector clip there. People are buggers for losing them and then they just don't bother replacing them and just place the injector loom back on. So now we've got that out the road. We've got a couple of more wiring plugs to extract. We've got a couple down the back which will raise the car up for the idle control valve and the knock sensor, and we've probably got a couple of earths as well screwed in there. As we remove the loom, there are 2 earths, one at each end of the injector rail. Which you need to remember. It's important that these have got a good connection as well, because if these don't, then you can have all sorts of weird issues relating to that. I'm just going to unscrew these and then I'm going to put the bolts back in where they were before. Okay, well, we've got most of the loom dismantled now. We'll crack the fuel pipes, which are a 17 and a 17 and a 17 and a 19. Yep. If you need to counter hold them, that is. You've got a 17 on the end of the rail there, and this union's a 17mm end, and on another end it's a 19. Because it can be quite tight, so you put the 17 on this end and the 19 on there. And they can be under quite a lot of pressure, so be aware of that. Now, up the back of the engine, we've got our idle control valve. Take the clip off it to get it to come off. There we go, and the knock sensor. Can't do it one-handed. Knock sensor, that needs to come off of there. Don't get them the wrong way around. Black plug, red plug, because it'll do weird stuff otherwise. Now, okay, so idle control valve plug removed, knock sensor plug removed, and we've also pulled the idle control valve pipe, taking the Jubilee clip off it at the back of the manifold, because otherwise you won't be able to get that off. I think that's all we need to remove from under there at the moment. We can get the rest of it from the top. Right, so I'm now moving to the bottom pulley, and you might remember we had some bother with these bolts when I did the timing belt, so it wasn't that long ago, so coming out no problem. Now, flip this off, take the timing belt cover off, and then we'll time the engine up before removing the belt and the camshaft. Just lifting the timing belt cover clear now, and we'll give that a tidy up before it goes back in. What do you say? Nearly me. And our cam pulleys are 180 degrees out, so I'm going to go and give it a full turn on the bottom pulley to give us the correct timing before and then get stripped. Alright, so I'm timed up at the top and the bottom. We'll see here, I've got the top and, yep, lined up perfectly. So I'm going to slacken the adjuster here, which will take the tension off the belt, which we can then remove from the top. Just a couple of turns is all that needs. And we'll go up here, and our belt will now slide off. Hooray! Now, I'll just move them completely out the road. I'll take them right off. Cam pulleys off. I've just removed the top hat water pipe, which you can't really see. Shot in the heads off. It connects under the bottom of the inlet manifold. It's like a three-way pipe, and it's a bit awkward to get to, and I've taken the pipe off at the header tank. Now, I don't know if it'll show up in the camera, but there's a difference in the coloration of this spark plug compared to the other three. That one's a bit darker and a bit more sooty looking than the other three, which are exactly the right nice brown colour you want them to be, so suspect whatever's going on is probably going on over cylinder 1 now. Right, so I've removed all the cylinder bolts in sequence, and I've just unbolted the inlet cam. And fill it. There we go. That's him out. I'm going to put him on a nice bit of cardboard. But to get this part off, you need to split off the end where it's got this sensor thing in it. Not there, and then our cap will lift off complete number 11 off of there. And that's going to go into a box. Camshaft, number 2, or exhaust cam lifted clear. Now, if my calculations are correct, this should now lift off. Now, have I managed it? What is still connected?
What hose it by that?
What hose is it? It should maybe. I'm just caught in the front hose. There we go. Up, up and away. sure this is going to tell us in much. If we can see anything. So, some brake cleaner into the equation. Right, I shall now remove the inlet manifold. I think it's a lot easier to remove the inlet manifold when the engine's out, the head's off the car. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 along the bottom there that I've removed. Then I'll just flip it round and get the top ones, which are 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty easy to get to, one extension on them. Now, the inlet manifold put up some fight. It was like welded with corrosion onto that stud on the end, so I had to soak it with WD-40 and then use more force than I'm willing to show you on YouTube. But at least that's that off now. We're stripped right the way down. And this device here is a valve spring compressor kit, which cost about 13 quid off eBay, I think. It's got the various sizes in it, and all it does is, I'll do it now, it clamps the valve so you can take the circlips, like the collets off it, then remove the valve and we can replace the seal on it. Right, it's now a few days later and I've been buying a load of stuff, and the cylinder head is away at Pollock Engineering getting skimmed, which I don't get back to Monday, and this is Saturday. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and make the exhaust, but seeing as I don't have the cylinder head, I'm going to use this old kind of knackered one and just place it on the block, bolt the manifold on it with a couple of studs, and then that'll allow us to work with the manifold, which I also have here. That there is a spare old head, which will do the trick. I think it's actually got bent valves in it, so we will borrow that now. And I've went and invested in a 9-inch angle grinder. Look at my large chopper. And a drill for Dingbro, and that's that rather nice Chinese exhaust clamp assembly. And I've also got valve grinding paste, clamps, nuts. The studs haven't arrived in the post because they're oil mill or useless now. Exhaust paste, PTFE, which I wanted for the air fittings anyway, and an exhaust flexi, which I might need, I'm not sure. But that's where we're at now. So I'm just going to go and plonk this head on there and put like maybe one bolt on it or something just to hold it in place. There we go, one manky head, which will be fixed up, fitted. I'm just going to bang 2 head bolts on it now and just lightly tighten them down so I've got a position for the manifold. Right, so that's only just on there with 2 bolts. Now I can go and line up the manifold once I've chopped the end off it. Now we're going to use this manifold here because A, it's got the full length on it, and at first glance you think it's got the standard end, but it doesn't. It's been adapted by somebody and it's got like a little 8 valve flange in the end of it. And that's going to restrict the hell out of whatever you've got. So we don't need it anyway, so we're going to lop it off. Now, I was wanting a 9-inch grinder for a while for cutting pipe and things, so I got this one off eBay. Everyone I buys off eBay, pretty much. People are like, where do you find these things? eBay. But I've been wanting a big grinder for ages to make it easier to chop through things. You just hold the end of that now, and we'll just go and rifle through the end of this and take this bit off. Oh, yes. Big choppy fella. Straight. What a lovely cut. It's still, in fact, it's got that bit of sleeve rammed inside it. Look how much that's restricting that. Look at this. Look down to the end of this. Hold on. Look at that. That's how much pipe was rammed inside that. So that's going to never ever have gone as well as what you hoped it might. We'll see if we can extract that for there. Who's fucking done that? There you go, that's what was inside the 16 valve manifold, which is like 8 valve exhaust pipe. If you're lucky, that's like 1800 exhaust. So God knows what genius did that. Anyway, what we can do now is mount this on the car and see where we are with lining up the next bit of it. Whether or not I want to put the flexi in or not, I don't know. So as the manifold is on, and we'll just go and tighten them on there. New manifold nuts like. I don't know how deep that socket is to put them all on like.
That'll be enough to...
As long as it's sitting flush. Ah, that'll be it. Quite surprised with the... We're going to have to put one in the bottom as well, I think.
No, you're alright.
So I've been doing some pre-measuring, and what we're going to do is we are going to cut the manifold back a bit more so we can get directly onto it with our bolted coupling here, which, is that right, or are we going with flexi on there?
No, other way. You can do it that way, it doesn't matter.
No, the flexi's too big.
Aye, so do it that way, put the flexi in.
Aye, that's what we're doing, we're putting this... What we're doing is we're going to put this end straight on to the manifold with this coupling, put a short bit of pipe in between the two to get onto our flexi coupling there, and then what we're going to do, we're going to have another short section of pipe because I'm putting two silencers in because these things will be bloody loud. Short piece of silencer pipe between the silencers, another short bit there. Then we've got these two bits here to kick us over to the axle where the pipe is hanging at the moment, which is going to give us an angle to take that over there and out the side of the car. Hopefully. Better get the measurement tape out. Right, so I've now locked the end of the manifold down, and what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the angle of this slightly so it comes up to about there, and then we want it like...
Exactly what it is, that'll be fine.
There. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some marks on it. Because so we know where we are when we're lined up when we're welding it, and we'll have to clean it up. So I've got those two marks in there now, so when we take the, we'll take the manifold back off, clean it up, and then get a really good weld round all of that, and that will be nice. So what I've done, I've cleaned all this up with the grinder, and I've put two slots in this because obviously it's a bit bigger. And what we're going to do is we've got it lined up there, and we know that we want our tight side to be to there, so it's kicking us across. And I'm just going to weld this a bit, get a tack on it, and then bash this down so I've got less of a gap to have to weld into, hence the reason I've got these two slots either side. And that's us sitting just where we want to be.
Aye, just get it there maybe.
Get off. That tack that on there.
Right.
Right, you only need to hold it. That's it on there now. What we need to do is just lower it down so it sits there. So, then I can get onto the...
Tell you one thing. That's only £2.50 an hour, that will say that.
Can't see it. Right, where's the fucking... because I need to get a right fucking deep weld into this. I'll get it on the other side. Right, well that goes. You won't believe how bad GoPro batteries are when it's cold. I mean, you can see it's cold. But this thing just died on its arse, so I had to go and charge it, and it's still only at 58%. Anyway, making some progress with the exhaust, which I will show you now. Okay, so we have our front section clamp here, which goes into the flexi, which then goes into the first silencer, and now we get to here, which is the second silencer. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean the edge of that up before it goes on, and then I'm going to weld round there, and that's going to give us a complete section there, and there's a clamp to go around this, which I think is still in the car, which it is. Right, up there is the clamp. Now the clamp had a bracket on it which was dropping it down, which was far too low, so I've just welded some screwed rod onto it. I've got washers on either side of there now, but what I'm going to do is put a set of nuts on either side of that so it can't slide off. But that's what the red silencer is going to run through. And it's going to come to the back, and I don't think we're going to be far away here. I don't think there's going to be much else to do beyond that. Alright, so I've completed the second part of the exhaust on the Cavalier. I've decided to do it in 3 sections, which is how an exhaust would come anyway. I've got my front part, which connects to the manifold with the flexi and the 2 silencers, and then I've got this bit, which is the part that runs up and over the axle into the back box, which I've put a mount on it as well to hook in. So I'm going to go and put this in the car now. That's all the welding done, because these 2 ends are going to clamp between the front section and the back box, and then that'll be it done. So that's our next section of pipe there, which is going to run into the back of this section of pipe here. It runs all the way to the front here. Beautiful. Really need to get a new welding helmet so I can see what I'm doing. Believe me, it's all welded on, it's just sometimes a bit off track. Right, let's get this up together and get it clamped. Got a nice new tube of exhaust spooge to go on here, which is always nice. I'll get this all clamped up. And then once it's all in position, I'll just disconnect it at the front so the manifold can come off on its own. Plenty of exhaust paste around this and get a new clamp on it. Happy days. I've discovered that the exhaust is right in the road of the tow bar, or the tow bar is right in the road of the exhaust on this car. I fitted the tow bar to this car in 2015, and I'm not going to use it for towing anymore. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go and remove it, to be honest. I don't need it anymore for towing. Having said that, I could just take that bit of box section out of it. Seeing as I'm not using it for towing, I could just take a wee bit of the tow bar out. Yeah, I may do that actually, because I like having that bit there in case anybody nudges me at the back. Let's get the big choppy fella out and have a go at that. Well, I'm pretty pleased because the exhaust is done. I don't know how well we can see it with this light, but we shall attempt. I'll show you around it. So we start at our manifold, we're going to this Chinese flexi coupling. Well, we start at the manifold and we go into this spring bolt coupling that I bought from eBay from China, which then goes into our flexi, which goes into our first silencer, which is the one that came with the Hornet kit, which is very small. We've then got, so it's basically a cherry bomb as a second silencer, and then we run along here into, it's all one section to there, and then we go up and over the axle with section number 2, and I've just clamped this for now. I may weld the back box onto the pipe there, but that's how it comes out the back. So obviously I can't start it yet because the head's not here, but it doesn't look too bad. I might do a little bit of adjustment to move the exhaust up and across a bit on the hanger, but that doesn't look too bad. Quite happy with that. Homemade performance exhaust system, there you go. Right, it's Monday night and my cylinder head didn't get skimmed today like it was supposed to. So, slight change of plan. I'm going to do the brake pipes, which I was going to do anyway, and it's easier because I can get them really nice and neat to the bulkhead with the cylinder head and inlet manifold not being there. I did change this car over to non-ABS a few years ago and just cut and joined the pipes, but they're a bit untidy, a bit of a skanky mess. So I'm going to chop them and run them all the way from front to back. But first I'm going to crack all the bleed nipples anyway, and I'm going to drain the fluid out it so it doesn't piss all over the floor. Now the Cavalier's pretty much got all new calipers on it. I'm going to change the flexis because they're quite rusty around the ferrules. Brake fluid is one of my least favourite automotive substances. It's like snot. So what I'm going to do is I am going to crack all the bleed nipples and then drain the stuff into this here pan. Oh yes, I am pipe. You sit there, see where it's going to go, and squeeze the juice out. Right, you watch that while I go and press the brake pedal and we shall extract the fluid. Not too dirty this stuff because I've been I had new fluid in it last year and I was doing the calipers. Bottom ones that we're going to chop and take out the road. So I'll do them one at a time and I'll get them a lot neater than they are now. They're a disgrace. Mr. Bottom Pipe, yo, chopped. Twang. I've now got the pipe hanging down. Good news is that when I did one flexi last year, I did the rear offside and I actually got the wrong flexis, so I ended up fitting a Mark III Astra one, which required me a bit of grinding and converting. Which one is it? That one over there, because it's got a different end on it, isn't it? Yes, it has. So yeah, I had to go and put a female brake pipe end on there. So I've done that, but that pipe is actually good most of the way around there. So what I'm going to do is, just at the back of the floor, I'm going to cut that and put a join in the pipe, put a union on it, so if it ever needs to come off or be replaced again, I'll have that there. And then I might do exactly the same with the other one for the near side, so they can be removed without having to take the entire thing off. I've just soaked the flexi up at the top there as well, because it's really rusty. I need to get the clip off it, I need to get the union out of it. So next up, I'm going to cut that off, so I've got the entire pipe off the car. There we go, one complete brake pipe off the car. There's a bit that I changed and I repaired into it, and this bit's all rusted to hell. And then it goes up to the front where I attached it originally, so just going to replace the entire thing front to back and that'll be it done. Alrighty, so I have run the first pipe up. I've connected it into the little connector there, up the back of the steering rack, along where it needs to be up to here, where it is going to join in to the master cylinder here. Now this uses a big union which I don't have, so unfortunately I'm going to have to reuse that, but that's absolutely fine. Doesn't bother me. I'm just going to crack that out now. And it's good that I've cut the end off because I can get on it with a socket. Right, so I've run my first brake pipe all the way along the car, and then I'm going to join it because it's going into the good flexi at the other side, which already had a new pipe on it. So I'm going to join it here and put a male on one side and a female on the other, and then I'm going to use my little brake pipe flaring tool that you can use on the car, which also gives you like the op 2 brake pipe ends, so they lock into each other. So what I've done is I have got my brake pipe flaring tool screwed onto the end of the pipe, which is poking through there, and we now get this little felly which says op 1 and op 2 on it, and we're going to go and do 2 flares on this. So op 1, it goes in this way first, so we'll screw it in this way and tighten it up with the 16, and then I'm going to reverse it and put that end in, and what that's going to do is give it a flare to lock into the end of this little felly here. I'm going to lock into him, which is probably not focusing on very well, but it's going into him. Right, so I've now got my 2 brake pipe ends that are going to connect up nicely with the male and female. They're going to butt up perfectly together and give us a nice seal, and then that's that all connected up there on that side. After much mucking about, I've got this back flexi off, which as you can see it's very rusty around the ferrule and the end of it. I need to take this compensator thing off it, so I'll stick it in the vise to get that off, and I'll give it a clean up and a paint as well, and then I will fit this shiny new rear flexi. I say I did the other side last year with a Mark III Astra one, which I'm just going to leave on there, it's fine, and just do this so we're all sorted in front. Right, that is the compensator off the back, which I've cleaned up. Look, it's all shiny now. And what I'm going to do is fit this back in the car, and then the shiny new flexi screws into it, and then I'll have to make up a brake pipe for the back end of it, because I just cut that one off because I didn't like it anyway. Just do all new ones, and then that'll be that side done. The compensator on the flexi, I've got the 2 clips that I've cleaned up with the grinder as well, so I'm now going to go and fire this onto the car, and I just threw the freaking flexi away, idiot. Then we'll go under here and install it. Can't really hold the camera here, it's not very easy. I'm just packing up now. I have successfully added 2 flexies. Hold on, get the torch. I've successfully added the 2 flexies. I need a new clip for that side, but there's one shiny new flexi on there. I just had to cut the very ends off the brake pipes. The GoPro really doesn't like low temperatures. It keeps telling me it's got a low battery when it's in 40%, as we can see. Yeah, there's the old flexies there, past their best, dead rusty around. As we can see, running down here, we've got our new brake pipes, we've got our new flexi. This GoPro is really annoying me. It keeps telling me it's got low battery when it's on 34%. It started doing it at 40. It's been in the car now and it's warmed up, so it'll be okay, but what bloody use is it if you can't use it when it's a bit cold? It's not even freezing tonight, it's no frost in the cars. Anyway, I had an absolute nightmare getting that gold Astra to move because the selector in the auto box is knackered. I'll have to get out it from now on and manually select part to move it between the times I was taking the engine out. But then I had to go and put the jump leads on it as well, which was a pain. So I'm quite glad to get home, to be honest. But a productive night, full set of brake pipes on the Cavalier, woohoo! And the Corsa's so much better to drive with, it's winter tyres on it. Right, well it's now Tuesday night, I have got the cylinder head in the car. We're loaded up with all the tools and equipment. In intervening times I have arranged to go and get a free Cavalier, which is in France. So it's not really free, it's quite expensive to go and get it, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm just at McDonald's to get my dinner and they don't have it, so I've been grill order parking. But I've got to lap the valves in first, which will be tedious, but needs must. Geez, oh, well you can't really see it, but the puddles are freezing up. This thing's been in charge overnight, so wants to start. Start, you bastard. Yay! Well, that's good to know. I've got the head here now, and what I'm doing is I'm removing the valve stem oil seals using an Irwin. Just chap it over the end and sort of yank them off. Not very technical, but that's the way I was told to do it, so probably some special tool or something that I don't have. Okay, so what I'm doing here with les valves, which is French for the valves, or das Valven, that's German for the valves. I'm putting a valve in the drill, which I have safely secured in the vise with a cable tie on it. And what I'm going to do is get this here bit of emery, switch it on at the wall, clean the valve up. Right, set up here in my living room, and it's Christmas as you can see. I have got my original cylinder head. The fancy one is no good because somebody has shaved the end off it where the cam sensor would sit for the coil pack. So what I'm currently doing is I've lapped in all the exhaust valves, and I was going to start, no sorry, I've lapped in all the inlet valves, and what I'm doing is I'm cleaning all the carbon muck out of the exhaust valves. And you can see there's a bit of a mess down there. So I was doing it with a bit of sandpaper. Now I've now got a little wire brush which I'm going to fire in. Put that there. Get the wire brush in there and clean all this carbon muck out before I lap these valves in, because there's a fair amount of it in there, so we'll get these ports nice and clean and fresh, which will be nice to go with the nice new valves. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of this because it's super boring, but as you can see with this valve here, it's got a nice grey circle around it, and there's also a nice grey circle around the valve seat compared to that one, which I haven't made a start on yet. These are two that I have cleaned out. Let's see if I can... Well, you can see that in there, and these are two that I haven't touched yet, with all the carboned up crud in them, which I'll clean out with the wire brush and a bit of sandpaper and brake cleaner. But this valve is done, so that can go back in. I've done all of these, and then we need to go and test it to make sure that these are all holding, which is done via putting the spark plugs in, shutting all the valves and pouring some water along the top and letting it sit there to see if any of it leaks out. But I've only got 3 valves to go with the lapping in, thankfully, because it's so boring. Now for the valve lapping, I'm using this tool on the end of the drill. So I get my valve, put a little bit, just a little bit of valve grinding paste on it. That's way too much. Excellent. I put a little bit of WD-40 around the seat for some lube. Pop the valve in. Clean it off. And then this sucker goes in the top, and this thing just goes back and forth like you would do with a manual wooden stick, but it's obviously much less labour intensive. So you just got to hold it in a steady low speed, and you can hear it going and grinding away. So I'll sit and do this for a good few minutes with each valve until we get that nice grey circle around both the valve and the valve seat, and hopefully that'll be them lapped in and they will create a seal. Alrighty, so I have finished the valve lapping process, and I've cleaned out all the ports on the exhaust valve side, and you can look here at all this crud, all that dirt and carbon. That's what came out the exhaust ports, which are now nice and clean. Now, assuming that I have lapped all these incorrectly, I'm now going to be able to pour water onto these with all the valves shut, the spark plugs back in, and the water should not leak out. If it does, then I'm going to have to go back and re-lap until I get the seal that's required. Wish me luck. Okay, so I'm just finishing lapping in these valves. This is the 3rd pass I've taken on them. This is the last valve. Come on, stick. There we go. So I now have a perfect grey ring round all the valves and all the valve seats, which I've cleaned out. I mean, I had that grey ring the first 2 times and it still leaked, so I think some of these have had 4 goes at them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour water on the top and see if it leaks out. I swear this better not all pour out this time. Exciting. I've let that sit there for a good half an hour and barely any water has moved at all. There's a tiny drip coming through there, but once that valve's held down tight with the spring against it, I very much doubt there's going to be anything coming through that. There we go. Look at how clean and nice all this is. I have numbered the valves in case they fall out when I tip this over in a moment to go and start fitting the valve stem, oil seals and springs. And for the next step, I'm fitting the valve stem oil seals, which are these little items here, which just push down on top of the valve guides. If these go hard and fail, you will start getting smoke. Hey folks, I've got the head back down the unit and I'm going to start building it back up. First thing I've done is put the new O-ring inside the cam sensor. The O-ring on this was really badly worn down, and it had previously had silicone around it. I may put a little dab of silicone around the edge of this again just to give it some help, because these are quite bad for weeping. Now you can see there the top of the block's gone a bit rusty because it's been sitting. Stevie's given us this little air tool thing to go and clean it up, which is nice and not abrasive. Oh. Well, you can see there it's given the mating surface of the block an absolutely fantastic polished silver finish, which is great. I would never have been able to do that by hand. And now I've just got the air duster gun and going down all the cylinder head bolt holes and blasting them out to make sure that there's no fluid in them. I sprayed some WD-40 down into these just to push out any dirt or anything and give the cylinder head bolts a bit of lubrication when they get screwed in, because you always get a couple of tight ones and that start creaking and you think you're going to snap it. But that's that part of it done now. I'm now going to move on and fit the inlet manifold to the head before I put it on the engine. Right, I now have to fit the inlet manifold. New gasket. There we go. Treating it to a new set of nuts all round because it's a nice thing to do. Boom! Right, that's the manifold on. Time to put the head on. Right, there's our head gasket in place. Now to manoeuvre the head in, drop it on there and get the bolts in. We've just dropped the head into position. It went on that quick, I didn't video it actually being dropped on, but you know, that's it there. So now it's a matter of getting the bolts into it, torquing it down. Oh, nice. Head bolts, courtesy of Stevie because I had the wrong ones. So I will replace them. But it's just as well because it's Saturday afternoon and that would not have been good. I don't have any head bolts. Right, initial torquing down to 25 Newton meters, pull them all, and then we're going to go and do 3 90s and a 60. Holy crap. Right, they're all in the first stage anyway. The last 2 bolts on the last 90s. Oh. That's it, top down. Oh my god, thank god for that. I've got a sweat on. Before we put the cam cover on, I'm just going to go and pour a little bit of oil in each of these cam lobes to pre-oil them, because it's bare metal against metal, and I'm going to change the oil in it anyway after it's been run for a day. We have here a nice new cam cover gasket. Now, what way do you go on? Like this. Now, it was leaking oil quite badly from a few different places, so you know, hopefully it's not going to anymore. I'll push down into position. Beautiful. Okay, jumped quite substantially ahead, but I was really busy building it, didn't have time to go and muck about filming the same bits that I'd taken apart. So as far as I can tell, I can now have a go at starting it and we'll see if it will fire up. Hopefully it will. Well, it's still tapping a bit because of the new lifters, but they'll quieten down just shortly. Good stuff. Right, next stage. Gravitex. This has been sitting in the radiator in the house for hours, and now I'm just going to go and start spraying it on the underside of the car and the underside of the sills, because, you know, rust. All the cars are going to get this, and maybe some Lanigard as well, which I've got, but I don't know how far it will go. So but this stuff's really good. It kind of goes rubberised. It doesn't go that greasy way that underseal does. So, and you get quite a lot out of bottle. So, you know, you fire this on before it goes cold again. It's quite good fun as well. Right, folks. Well, our floor is now all nicely Gravitexed. Lovely stuff. Masked off the flexes and things. We now have our jazzy exhaust back box on it, so we'll see what's going to happen next with that. Just clamped it up and I've got to weld it on a bit at the moment. Let's see what it sounds like. Hoping this is all angled properly. Right, let's bring it down. Okay, test to see if jazzy DTM back box is any better than the stupid wee one. Much better. Sounds perfect. That's spot on. Smells good as well. Right, it's now Thursday night and on the last steps of the Cavalier, currently welding a plate in there, which is kind of normal for the Cavalier. I've put the clip on the brake hose that I was missing, and I just need to put a bit of rubber around the tow bar where the exhaust sits so it won't rattle, because I'm not taking the tow bar off it just now. And I'm going to change oil on it, and that is it. It's coming out of here. So look, at the same time, we've got a transmission jack getting built. Piece of equipment that's been needed for quite a long time. But super useful, that. It's arrived from Germany in Amazon for about 136 quid, I think it was. It's like Christmas morning. Hello folks, the Cavalier is home and it's going for its MOT today. It's been sitting overnight. Now you remember how hard this car was to start with all the cranking that I had to do. Let's see how easily it might fire into life now. There's a key for it, and it's there. Right, let's see how easily it starts. Or otherwise. Much easier. Lovely stuff. Let's get it washed and a clean out before it goes for MOT. now just finishing soaping it off. That'll look so much better for this, I think. Right, I'll blast it again. I think that's now looking much tidier. Give it a hoover out next. Beautiful. I'm en route to the MOT station and the Cavalier's pretty spot on, apart from the fact it's fired the management light on all the time. I'll have to flash the codes out it. And there's a little rattling noise somewhere off the exhaust. I don't know if one of the brackets is loose or something. I don't know how it could be because I checked everything was tight, but it seemed okay, and the rev counter occasionally drops off, but I think that's just the clocks and I'm going to replace them for 8,000 RPM ones anyway. But I can just get in here. We are at the MOT station. Wahey! Go and flash this code at the bloody management light. 13 and 71. I don't know.
When was the last time you stuck discs on the front here?
Not that long ago.
Right.
Are they a bit wobbly?
No,
It's got quite new brakes on it all round. Reversing lights working and everything. It looks really shiny because usually it's mock it.